This is my roommate Braden, and we both have a love for cars and the automotive scene. And I've sat him down here today to talk about some of the things that he enjoys, and bounce off a little bit of conversation during this interview. Our first question to start is, how were you introduced into the automotive scene?
So I think I got introduced to the automotive scene really young, because back in 2005, 2008, those years, a lot of TV shows like Excel Racers, it was produced by Hot Wheels, Mattel, and some other publishing companies. They all worked together and made a TV show. It was originally started with a movie called Highway 35, and then Excel Racers. I watched that a ton when I was a kid. And not only that, but I played with the Hot Wheels. I loved Hot Wheels. I had thousands in my room. It was before Legos. Legos was after Hot Wheels, and I think that was one of the biggest things. And then also when the movie Speed Racer, the live action movie came out, I watched that and I love that movie. I even bought a cereal bowl, because if you buy enough cereal boxes, they would ship you a cereal bowl that was shaped like the Mach 5. So I got that. I was super into it, and as I grew older, and I realized, cars are fast cars are real. It's not just a movie. It's not just little things. It's you can actually enjoy fast cars. And also my dad liked having fast cars, so he had some cool cars as I was growing up, and I got to ride in them. As I got older, as I was a teenager, I actually got to drive them sometimes. So I think that was really what kind of pushed me into it. Was just as a young kid, I was also always fascinated with mechanical stuff, trucks, even things like dump trucks, stuff like that. But cars was it was just easily accessible. You could buy a Hot Wheel for $1, and then you could play with it. So.
And we still both collect Hot Wheels in our free time because it just never gets old for us.
Yeah, exactly. I have a bunch of Hot Wheels that I've collected, and they're all, I still love them. So.
Yeah. Moving on to our next question, what keeps you interested in the automotive scene now?
That actually is one thing, is the Hot Wheels. So obviously a lot of Hot Wheels are not real cars, but they're still really cool, and they have a lot of real cars in Hot Wheel form. But not only that, that's one little thing. It's kind of like a hobby that stems from the love of cars that there is today. And a lot of it is because, I can see cars out there in the real world. I can watch things like motorsport. I can see people driving around, a lot of new cars, a lot of older cars, but people still have fun cars that they drive. I drive a Mini, and I really enjoy it. It's really fun around taking turns, just driving with the windows down. It's a really fun little car, and I enjoy that. It can be little things, or it can be really big things. Like you go to a car show and you see some really expensive looking cars, or really nicely done classic cars, things like that, from all over the world, and it's just really cool to see. So that really gets me, helps me stay interested, is being able to look at other vehicles that also, they pique my interest almost as much as the Hot Wheels did back when I was a kid.
And something that Mattel and Hot Wheels has recently done in these past few years is create the Hot Wheels Legends Tour, where people who have built these ground-up garage builds, it's their passion, it's their pride and joy. They go out and they show them off, and they pick winners from different cities, and from there, they'll pick one winner that gets their car made into a Hot Wheel. And so that's where Hot Wheels and the current car community is right now, and it's super cool to go out to these shows and see what people's imagination has brought to life. Moving on to our third question now. Did racing games ever play a part in your automotive interests?
Yes. Aside from all the TV shows that I watched as a kid, the Hot Wheels shows, they also produced a lot of games. And at that time in my life, I never bought a PlayStation or an Xbox. I did have a Wii, and there was a Need for Speed. It was called Need for Speed Nitrous. There was a game on the Wii, but I mostly played on the computer because my parents had one, and over time I would be kind of allowed to play a lot of games, mostly Need for Speed Underground, one of the greatest games racing games of all time because it was just the soundtrack was great, lots of cool stuff, but it also had real cars in it. You could see one of these cars out in real life and you say, oh, that's cool, and then you can race it in the game, and it was really exciting to be able to do that. Also, Hot Wheels themselves made racing games. One of the biggest influences was a game called Hot Wheels Velocity X. It was just, it almost seems like it was somewhat unpopular because not a lot of people actually played this game because I think it was only on PC and PS2 or PS1. But this game was just, it had a storyline. It was a very simple early 2000s game, but it was still, I played maybe at least over 100 hours on that game, even though you could probably get 10 hours of gameplay out of it. I still played it. There's a battle mode, so it's like that kind of stuff. It's like video games really did have a big impact on me liking cars.
Yeah, I know for me personally, growing up, like age 5, I would go to HotWheels.com and they would have just small flash games that you could play with arrow keys. You know, building on that, I had a Game Boy Advance that had a Hot Wheel game on there. I had a Wii. I had Hot Wheels Beat That, which was a great game for me to play with my younger brother at the time. And so just building off of that, going into Need for Speed, Forza Motorsport, Forza Horizon now on the Xbox, and it just keeps growing. And as the car community grows, these games get better and better with the technology that grows with it.